Hello and welcome to the first of our now weekly Teamfight Tactics patch breakdowns. I'm Notorious GHP, and today we're going to be going over the patch 9.16b notes. Worth noting, this will be my first impressions. I have not read anything about this patch from Reddit, Discords. Um, I've just loaded the patch, and we'll take a look through it. Before jumping in, I should talk about what I would like to see in this patch. Right now, I would really like to see some sort of nerf to most of the carries. The ones that kind of mind are Jinx and Draven. And not because I think they're too strong, but because I don't think they are allowing other carries to see enough play. They're so much better than most other carries that a lot of comps are I'll build my comp and then I'm gonna add Draven Jinx and put items on them. And that's not a great situation. And although we have Hex Tech, a lot of the comps like Brawlers are able to protect the Jinx, the Draven, the whatever. And I want to see more diversity there. I'd like to see some buffs to Wild. I haven't seen many people have much success with it. Seen a lot of people on Reddit going, and asking how do we make Wild work. And the problem right now is Wild doesn't scale well. Warwick is pretty bad. Nidalee is only good early. Rengar's item reliant and doesn't really fit the brawler idea a lot of the time. Ahri is good. And then Gnar is okay, but I find he doesn't do enough unless you get the shapeshifter buff or put a lot of items on him. And for a 4-star unit, or 4-level unit, he isn't doing enough currently. So maybe a Gnar buff, that'd be nice. Um, what else would I like to see? I like to do Demon Overhaul. I've seen some people say they have like shapeshifters. If I say a Gnar buff, then well, I expect a shapeshifter buff in some way. Um, I wouldn't mind seeing Blade Masters get nerfed briefly. I believe it's 45% right now. Maybe just make it 40. Um, I think that Blade Masters are very strong, but again, if you change the carries, Blade Masters get worse. Say with Nobles, because you a lot of the times you put your items on the Jinx, and sometimes you put it on like Lucian, and so some people are claiming for Noble buffs. But if we get what I want, which is nerfing the champions, Nobles get a lot worse because the Noble buff is good, but you have to support it. So let's jump into the patch. I am hopeful this won't be too big, though. Obviously, it's a minor patch. Let's see. Hey, Tacticians, welcome to Teamfight Tactics patch 9.16b notes. Just gonna steal my intro, I guess. In true B-side fashion, this patch will be fairly light. The biggest changes to the in-game matchmaking system, which should prevent you from seeing the same opponent too often. This change would be an improvement on past versions, but we're still not completely happy with the system and will continue to tinker going forward. For gameplay, the meta is in a good spot following the inclusion of our Hex Tech friends, and we're giving it a few small bumps to the Outriders. Now let's get into it. So I am happy, we'll see later on, but I am happy to see more work towards making it so I don't play the same player. That's a pretty bad feeling when, for example, let's say you're playing Comp A, and you could beat 6 other players in the game, but Comp B counters you really hard. And with that could just ruin you if you hit that player twice in a row. Maybe they really stomp you, and so you were at like 70 health and wind up down at 30 in second to last place when you were actually like the second strongest or the strongest player in the event at the time. And that could be a big hit. So I think reducing this is a good idea. Let's jump in. So we got brawlers. Um, Bonus health reduced. It's going down by 50 at rank 1, 100 at rank 2, and 100 at rank 3. So what this actually means is it's 100 health at rank 1, split across 2 characters, 400 health at rank 2, and 600 at rank 3. I do think this nerf is pretty substantial. I think early brawlers, like 2 brawlers, get a lot worse. You lose 100 health total. When you have champions like Warwick, who are kind of weak anyways, supporting this, I think the health could definitely add up. I still think brawlers are going to be playable if you can get them. This should help stop people from going like, hey, there's 3 brawlers players in the game because it's so good. And that'd be good. I think this nerf is okay. I really wasn't I was kind of expecting a brawler stuff, but I wasn't sure if it's needed. I don't expect to see a future nerf right now. If they nerf Brawlers plus another champion, I'll be quite disappointed. But no, the Brawler doesn't affect the carry, but the health definitely matters across the board. 600 health is quite a bit to just lose across the board, but at least it's across the board and not on one champion. I do think Brawlers are still fine, but this will matter. I think it matters mostly at the uh, first rank losing 100, and then the second rank losing 400. I think those are the biggest times where it's actually going to matter. We can get the champion nerfs. Okay, so we've got Draven losing health and losing attack damage. Good. I think, as we mentioned, I want to say carries get nerfed, and so Draven taking a bump, and it's a pretty big bump. Unlike League, when you see any champion get its numbers tweaked, it really affects its viability. And now seeing um, Draven take a 2 nerfs here is quite big. So I definitely think that this is gonna hurt Draven quite a bit. Um, but I don't think it like makes him unplayable or anything. I do think it makes just play Draven and roll with it all quite a bit worse. 5 attack damage adds up quick. Jinx ability bonus attack speed. So she's losing. Wow. Okay, so she's losing 0.15, then 0.2, and then 0.25 for bonus ability bonus attack speed. So this basically means that Jinx is kind of weak before getting excited unless she just gets some easy targets. I guess she starts hitting like a Braum or a Garen, it can be quite difficult, which happens quite often, especially if people are positioning well, which you should assume people are. This is quite a nerf early, especially. The first rank losing 0.15 attack speed is quite a lot for bonus. But so I definitely think this hurts her early game. I think overall, so you never get the 3-star, so this doesn't matter. If you have 3-star Jinx, then you're already fine. So this just isn't a relevant part. But losing 0.15 and then 0.2 is quite a bit of damage throughout a fight. And so I definitely think this nerf matters. And there's another nerf, but I think the attack speed is definitely gonna hurt her viability because it means that when she gets excited, that Jinx is now going to be a little more um less excited. She's going to do less in the fights. So the reward for making her pop off is a little bit less. Now looking at bonus rocket damage, it's down it's the same level 1 and then down 25 and then down 50. And so Jinx takes another nerf here, and I'm not gonna do the math right now, but the rock damage plus the attack speed nerf, this is quite a lot of damage lost. So at rank 1, she's using 0.15 attack speed, no damage. And then at level 2, which is her big one that people go to, she loses 25 damage per rocket while also attacking, while also getting 0.2 attack speed less. So that's quite a bit of damage over time. Uh, and so I definitely feel like this is going to add up for Jinx, and I think Jinx gets quite a bit worse from this. Again, just like Draven, she's probably still valuable, probably still a good carry, but I don't think she's as broken as she was. I think she was definitely overtuned. I think these 2 nerfs, especially, are going to really help uh, open up the metagame to have a few more carries. You might see like the Brawler count go back to carry Volibear, but he's so item reliant. Very specific items as well. So I'm not sure, but I definitely think these nerfs are going to help. KO, sheer duration, same level 1, down 0.5 level 2, and then down 1 level 3. So level 3 doesn't matter. I think because their level 1 stays the same, I don't think this nerf matters too much. I think level 2 KO is already going to be good enough. And so especially where you give her items like Spear Shojin, and the fact that she'll ult 2 people level 2, I don't think this nerf matters very much. Boosted ability damage. 150, 250, 350. So down 50, down 25, and then the same. The level 1 nerf is actually a lot. 50 damage is quite a bit, which I believe this is actually... No, the first attack is an auto, the second is an ability. So every time he uses his ability, he goes down it's 50 damage. This is gonna add up quick. I think Ushi gets a lot worse level 1. His level 2 is fine. If you still put items like Odin's on him, it'll do great wonders. But I think his level 1 is much worse now, to the point where I think going like, oh, I got Lucian early and I'll play Nobles for the first little while in the game. I'll put like Wooded Shiv on Lucian and he'll just win me till like stage 3.5 or whatever. I think that gets a lot worse until you level 2 Lucian right now. And so I think he's a lot worse for a carry early. Vi, alright, it's 50 to 125, 75 to 150. So the first ability is the same, and then the second ability costs 25 more. I think a Vi nerf was justifiable. So we see 2 nerfs to Brawlers, though. I think Vi is still okay, but I think this nerf is quite big for Vi overall, especially in Brawlers where she has to do a lot of the heavy lifting. And so yeah, I think this nerf is definitely gonna knock Vi down a step. Between her and Jinx getting nerfed, Hextech also get quite a bit worse. We'll see what the buffs are, but this is definitely between Jinx and Vi. I think Brawlers and the Brawler debuff. I think the Brawler buff got worse, Nobles got worse, and Blade Masters definitely took a hit. Any cup that's going like Jinx, Vi obviously took quite a big hit, to get the early Hextech. Looking at champion buffs, we've got Aatrox, or Aatrox, or Aatrox, whatever. So he's up 50. Okay, he's up 50. Wait, this is weird. So he's up 50 damage over 1, the same over 2, and 50 over 3? No, I misread. He's up 50 level 1, the same level 2, and then down level 3. This is definitely a buff. I think this is a fine change to Aatrox, make him. You don't have to 3-star Aatrox, and so I think the buffing the level 1 is quite good. He kind of becomes a champion either A, when you give him items, or B, when you make him a level 2. And so just the early buff is nice. Makes him feel less bad if you want to go like 3 Blade Master early. Nivea health, this is fine. Gnar bonus attack damage on transform, so it's up 20, up 40, up 60. Wow. This is a lot. This is a lot of damage to add to someone's kit. 20, 40, and 60. I think his attack damage, or his ability mace. No, his ability doesn't scale with attack damage. I think this is quite a big buff to Nara, and as we mentioned earlier, it's a buff to Wild, it's a buff to Shapeshifters, which you're already seeing play. I definitely think this is quite a big buff. I think Nara just became quite good, and it's also less item reliant. Like, although he does okay damage, he doesn't do tons right now, and sometimes you feel like you need to compensate by putting on like a Titanic Hydra or some sort of a damage item. And now this is a lot of damage to just give him for free, and so he might be able to build more tanky now. I definitely think Nara's priority is going to go up quite a bit. Misfortune up 100, up 50, and then the same. I think Misfortune was already quite good, and now I think she's even better. The fact that she's better level 1 is the big point. Although the total damage on Misfortune is a little misleading because you either overkill someone or they move out of your ability quite often. And so it doesn't matter what this total number is. And so it means that you'll do more damage per shot by some amount. And so it's definitely a nice buff. I just don't know if this is huge for Misfortune. I think Misfortune was already pretty good though, and now she just gets better. And when we see other carries taking nerfs, Misfortune just becomes a more viable target. Morgana. Armor 20 to 30, that's a lot. Ability damage, down level 1, down level 2, down level 3. So it's down 25 across the board to become more tanky. I think this is a buff. She becomes more sustainable. Her ability is still really good. It might. I don't know if it was too good before, but I think this is a nice change to Morgana and will definitely help. I think sorcerers definitely receive a buff by seeing some of these carries get nerfed as well. Things like carry Aurelia's Soul get better. Shen, health buff. Shen was already fine, and now receiving even more health. We saw Zed get a buff last patch, so ninjas are definitely getting better. Also, this is a Blade Master, and although Draven took a nerf, Blade Masters did get better from Shen, although the Draven nerf might be more important. Then we have Luden's Echo. Damage 200 to 180, splashes. So between the Lucian nerf and the Luden's nerf, this is gonna hurt Lucian a lot. We also have other champions that use this, but Lucian's the one I think stands out the most for me as a Luden's user that's like good at it. We also, some of the sorcerers can use it quite well. But I think this nerf is quite noticeable. If this hits the 3 targets, this is actually going from 600 to 540, a 60 damage loss, and that's a lot. So I definitely think Wounds gets quite a bit worse. Right now, I recommend people be building other items anyways, like Marlonomicon, which doesn't seem to be changed. So that's okay. But I think especially on Lucian, this is a big nerf. I think Lucian took a really big nerf this patch. Lucian and Jinx took the biggest nerfs. And so I think Wounds is still going to be viable with champions like Miss Fortune, Morgana. But I think it's going to not be too big because I don't think Wounds was that good anyways. And so seeing the nerf is kind of surprising. And bug fixes, nothing special. So that's the patch. I think this is a solid minor patch. I'm excited to see what they do next week. I think they did a lot of the things I wanted. They buffed Gnar, and they nerfed a lot of the carries. Lucian kind of surprises me, but he was very good early especially. So I'm not that surprised. I'm a little disappointed. Um, Overall, I think this was a good patch. And I am curious to see how the meta develops. I think we're going to see more shapeshifters and wild. Well, mostly shapeshifters with Gnar. And that's okay. I think we might see more Ninja Elementalists with Shen and Anivia receiving buffs that are like decently noticeable. But we'll see as the patch progresses. So I want to say thank you for watching, and this has been this week's patch 9.16b rundown.